Welcome to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Hey, that's me. Hi, and welcome to Positive Talk. Our show features the best positive stories and people from around the globe as we endeavor to answer the universal question of why am I here and what is my purpose? Understanding that can change everything, and knowing your greatness is fundamental to living your best life. So join us right now as together we work to create the adventure of our lifetime. And welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Kevin McDonald, and you know, we all are looking, well, most of us, okay, some of us, all right, two of us, are looking to find a better way to live and to follow our heart and to follow our passion. And we have a young lady with us today who I just adore. She is just got a wonderful spirit, wonderful energy, and she's working to develop a wonderful product that we're going to talk about during the course of the show. But I also want to touch bases with her on who she is, what she does, how she got to be where she is, and all that kind of good stuff, because it plays well with how everybody needs to, I think, look at their lives. So Alizah Josette is with us today. I think I did that right.
Yes, you did. Hi, Kevin. It's so good to be here.
I know, and what I really love is that this is you've been on the show before, and
Yes,
you're going to be on the show again. But
absolutely.
I the fun thing is that there are people. I interview a lot of folks, and there are people that just have the energy and have the spirit that really makes it fun to do a show with someone like you, and you're one of those.
Oh, thank you. And you're my absolute favorite podcast to go on. I have talked to some really wonderful hosts. And so I've had great conversations, but you're right. It's your energy level and the way that we connect about subjects that I love discussing that makes it so enjoyable for me. It's not just about the Spherehead pillow, my invention or my company. I love our tangents into spirituality and that we give back to the public. Those who listen to the show, I feel like they leave better than they entered, hopefully, is always the goal of Positive Talk. And so that really inspires me to keep coming on and trying to make a positive influence and impact out there through your platform.
Well, and you do that because of the stories. And I know that we've talked about a lot of different aspects of our spiritual lives and how it plays into our physical being and who we are and versus who we'd like to be. And it really is fun to talk about those sorts of things. And we have, like, I know that you know of Neil Donald Walsh and has read his books and stuff. And so many of the aspects of spirituality that we talk about, right?
And I just finally finished the Michael Newton books that you recommended.
Oh, you have to tell me. Alert, alert, alert. This is important. So,
Yes. So his first book, the last time that we spoke was actually on Thanksgiving. We did our last podcast then.
gosh, you
And
remember Thanksgiving? I don't even remember Thanksgiving.
I
So.
know. And it seems like a really long time ago. And plus, it was this same time of night here in Rhode Island. And it's after like a long day, we hopped on this podcast and I was so exhausted. But you had mentioned Michael Newton's books, and you said that a lot of the things that I was sharing in that podcast were in the book. And I gave a tired, snobbish response where I was like, well, that doesn't surprise me. A lot of things I read are in books. But you were very right about that. When I was reading his first book, I was really grateful that a lot of the conclusions that were in there are things that I had already contemplated and come to my own thought process a lot about. Because I think if I was reading them for the first time in this book, I would have just brushed it off and been like, this is nonsense. But because during my own meditations, I was aligned with some of what his clients say, his conclusions in the book, it made me much more open to it. And I found that to be fascinating. And then his second book, I definitely got some good tidbits from and things to contemplate more. He did the second book, because I didn't come to those same conclusions all the way, that one did have that reaction from me where a lot of it, I was like, this is just too far-fetched. Some of it, I'm just like, okay, taking it with a grain of salt. But I left with about 6 things to really contemplate. So I feel like it was a book worth reading. I read a lot of spiritual books, and I feel like if you get a few concepts from them, that's gold.
Do you remember what those 6 things were?
I have them highlighted. I can share it. I mean, can pull the book from my library and share it. I remember one of the first one, it hit me around page 180. So I was like 180 pages in. And he talks about memory. And I really loved that he was talking about our memories that we have during this lifetime, but that also some of our memories can be from previous lifetimes. And some of our memories can be when we are in our astrological bodies, in a different non-physical plane. And how sometimes our dreams can play into that too. And I found that to be truly fascinating and I think accurate as well. Like I said, it's definitely something I want to think about. And that was the first part of the book where I was like, okay, there's some credence here. And then quickly for like the last 200 pages, like I said, I was highlighting quite a bit. So,
Well, and for those people that have not had the experience of reading those books, which is Journey of Souls and Destiny of Souls by Dr. Michael Newton. Let me give you a little background. He was a hypnotherapist, and he used to work with people who had physical issues and stuff like that, and to make them better. And by the way, and Michelle, you're welcome to join us if you'd like. If you've got your eyelashes on.
is Rochelle here?
She is. She just said hello. Hi, Alizah. So happy to see you on another show. And
Yes.
but she is welcome to join the discussion if she'd like to.
Absolutely.
She may be like going, no, 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 I don't have my eyelashes on. You poor thing. I don't know how you guys do it. I really don't.
I don't do any of it. I feel that same way. I tried to wear fake lashes and I can't. I don't know how they do, like women. They'll do like the eyebrows and I do wear some makeup. I tried to make it basic and I recently stopped dyeing my hair. Like I'm done with it. By 37, I'm throwing in the towel. I'm like, you know what? I'm natural. Let's just let it be.
As what you said, one of my favorite sayings is "Let It Be" by the Reverend Paul McCartney. I'm just
there
kidding.
You go.
But in any event, Journey of Souls by Dr. Michael Newton details his journey of when he discovered that if he took people into, and correct me if I'm wrong, you've read it recently, if you take people into deep hypnosis, a lot of times they will not only talk about past lives, but they can also talk about their death experience in those lives. And then what happens on the other side when they go home, which is what some people call it heaven, I call it home. And talking about your soul group and the council and in all these aspects of what your soul does and is going through on the other side. Does that make sense?
Yes, I think that's a great synopsis. And I think that what was so interesting to me is the similarities that so many hundreds of folks, and he probably, put thousands into hypnosis by the time he passed away. I know that the institute he started most likely is probably in the tens of thousands at this point. But that the hundreds that he had interviewed for his books all sort of said the exact same things about what they see when they're dying, where they go, what that experience is like. And I find that to be very remarkable.
And it's actually for me, it was very soothing because we recognize that we just continue. And even if, and we've talked a lot about this, even when you are in the process of dying, a lot of times your soul will leave prior to your actual physical death, because it doesn't necessarily want to experience the pain and stuff that it goes through in that process, but it
Mm.
hangs around, and you get they decide, what you want to do. Do you want to go to the funeral? Do you not? And stuff like that. And Liza, I've got stories about
Yeah.
talking to a psychic medium and about somebody who had recently passed away, and even though they weren't able to communicating with them fully, because as you know, that book helped me so much, because what she said to me was, because Sandy had only been gone like 2.5 weeks, and we were going to
Mm.
have her memorial service. And Kim said to me, the psychic medium, well, they're so busy when they get on the other side right away, because there's so many things that they need to do to get back to where they were, that a
Mm.
lot of times they don't pay attention to us until 3 or 4 or 5 months later, when everything's settled. They've gone through what she called orientation, and rejuvenated their energy, looked at their past life in the form of how they affected other people and other people affected them and all that. That it takes time. But this lady came through and said, Kim said, well, she doesn't really have much to say because she's very busy, but she says yellow roses, and that's all she said. And so we go to the memorial service. And to make a long story short, in front of, next to the pulpit of where people were going to speak, were two flower arrangements. One was roses and carnations, but they were yellow roses. And
Mm.
the other one was a big, I don't know what you call it. What do you call it? A placard, or a um, a large whatever you call it. Anyway, it
Silver
was,
was fine.
yeah, and it was, but it was a heart shaped, whatever you call it,
Mm.
with with white carnations, and in the middle of it was a smaller heart, which was yellow roses.
Wow.
And so that taught me that even though she'd passed, she knew what was going to be happening when, during the memorial service, she knew about the yellow roses. She gave us that message so that we would know that she was still around and available, and that was a real story for her. Kim had never met her. My wife didn't know that she liked yellow roses. And so it was like one of those remarkable, some people might call it a coincidence, but I don't think so.
Well, this is why we need Rochelle to join us, because she is our on-staff medium.
Yeah.
And like I said, and to each their own. For those out there, for the men and women who like to do the fake eyelashes and the eyes and all the stuff, like, more power to you. But Rochelle, please join us regardless, because we love your input. And I think that's fascinating, Kevin. The greatest thing that I took away from his books, that I've kind of implemented recently into my own meditations. So I do a lot of visualization when I meditate, and basically what he says in his second book, one of the greatest parts that I highlighted, one of my 6, was that we are particles of energy, and that react to the vibrations of sound. And these are reflected in different light patterns. And so when I meditate now, I use that. I was already meditating in this way, where I imagined kind of my energy, my soul, spirit, astrological being, whatever it was. I believe that my center is my sacral chakra, is my stomach. So I would imagine it coming out through the crown of my head, going into the heavens affinity, probably a star, whatever energy pulls it in, entering back through me through the third eye, and then going down to the gravitational pull of the earth, and then coming back up. So I was already imagining that figure 8, this symbol of affinity, is kind of how I imagine my being. And now I see it as little particles of matter. That's what the energy is made of. And I listen to music when I meditate now, which is something I had not done before. And I try to feel the vibrations until I feel them moving through me. And I really try to focus now on certain colors depending on what I need. That was another thing that Michael Newton introduced to me, the concept of different colors. So earlier today, I was imagining green for healing. And I find that this is really working really well. I can feel the energy and have control of it a lot more. And I love that. So that's my greatest takeaway from his books as of right now. Give me some time to contemplate the others, and something may surpass it.
Well, and I don't think I've mentioned this to you yet, because I think this happened after Thanksgiving. But I was talking with my son, who is a diesel mechanic and engineer. He does work with, he fixes cranes for a living. So his brain is very schematic minded. It's like, well, if you want to fix something, you look at the schematic and you see how it works and the stuff. And so he's very into that. And me, on the other hand, with the number of psychic meetings I've had, and John Edward and so many others, it's more of a feeling. And so he didn't get that, that it was more of a feeling of energy and stuff rather than. And so he was actually listening to another podcast, and the person said that we have a transducer in our brain. And do you know what a transducer is?
I do not.
That's okay. I didn't either. And I said, okay, tell me what a transducer is. And he said, you have one in your microphone. I said, I do. And he said, yes. And that turns your voice into vibration so that it can be transmuted or transferred, if you will, to another transducer who can then transfer it back into your voice. That's how your radio in your car works.
Wow.
And so when we look at the energy that we have and the energy with which the other side communicates with us, it's through vibrational energy and what did you call it? The little
particles of energy.
Yes. The particles of energy are then gathered up and they are sent to you. And also your vibrational energy is sent to them. That's how they communicate with us. And it made perfect sense after he explained what in the hell a transducer is.
Yeah. And, I think we actually really communicate with thought. So I know there's a lot of people on this physical plane that I talk with who tell me all the time that they really believe in this power of thought and manifesting. And I think that that's true for our astrological planes as well. I think that's how we communicate up there, is really through thought and intention. And I know when I'm trying to connect and in tune with my spirit, the messages I receive are all in the form of thoughts. And so I think that that's a great gift that we have. We can really learn how to utilize truly what the power of thought is and then put that into action.
And my son would tell you that that is the transducer in you, transferring the particles of energy into thoughts for you in your head. So that all works out perfectly. I hate to do this. I got to take a little bit of a break, but I hope everybody stays with us because this is a fascinating discussion. I just love talking about this stuff. Are you looking for a powerful way to grow your brand while making a real difference? Well, Positive Talk is the perfect platform to align your message with inspiration, hope, and meaningful conversations. By sponsoring Positive Talk, your brand will reach an engaged audience that values positivity and connection. People who want to support companies that share their values. Take this opportunity to showcase your business in a space that uplifts, inspires, and creates lasting impact. Don't wait. Email me, Kevin@kmmedia.pro today to learn how you can partner with us and spread positivity while growing your brand. And welcome back to Positive Talk.
Groove into the music.
I know we're grooving to the
It's one of
music
my favorite theme songs.
because music is also vibrational energy, and so if you are somebody that listens to music and it actually affects you, that's a really important aspect of life as well.
And it's so funny, I didn't realize until this very minute that I typically dance before I meditate. I do 10 songs and I've been doing this for years where and so I'm always listening for new music, but I just have to let go and I close my eyes. Sometimes I shut all the lights off and do it as well. But it's just like moving my body. And then I go into my breathing exercises and into my meditation. So it's funny that I didn't put that together until just now that I've started implementing music in my meditations. You're right. I think that there is something so freeing about just letting go and feeling the music.
Exactly. And I will take that one step further. Most of the music that is produced by people today, if you ask them, they won't know where it came from.
Oh, okay. You mean like the intuition to create
Like
it?
like that. Well, the example I like to use is the song "Yesterday" by the Beatles.
Hmm.
It's been copied by 3,000 other artists because they like the song. Fred, or not Fred, Frank Sinatra said it was one of the best songs ever written.
I've never heard Frank's version of Yesterday. I'm a huge Sinatra fan, and that has never popped up on my. So I'm gonna look it up. Did he record it?
I either did it live or recorded it. I'm not sure which.
Wow.
But Paul McCartney woke up with that song in his head. He doesn't know how it got there.
Kevin, I love your impressions. I just have to ask if you would be willing to do a Frank Sinatra singing Yesterday impression. I feel like you could nail it.
I don't. That's the one thing I don't do. I don't sing very well. I don't think.
Okay, fine. We'll let you off the hook this time. We can't go for sell on this show. You're not going to sing Frank Sinatra to me. I'm not getting serenaded.
Yesterday, I do know. I don't. I just no. I'm not. I don't do that. But I can do like. I think the last time we were here, I did a little bit of Sean Connery. And stuff, and
yes,
and you're one of those people that I just dearly love because you make my ego so much better.
Well, I feel like people may not know your hidden talents, but if they did, we would all be pushing you to get up on stage and do a stand up.
Do you know? It's interesting that you say that because I got an email from somebody from a listener from Brushwood Media, and they said that guy is so funny. I know he must do stand up somewhere. Could you let me know where I can find it? I've never done stand up in my life. That would scare the hell out of me.
So I've always wanted to, but then on Tuesday night, so this is Friday, so a few nights ago, I had to get up in front of a room of people and tell my little life story. It's this wonderful event called Born to Rise. And it's about women telling their stories and sharing them. It's all about empowerment and inspiration. And I was so nervous that I realized I could really actually never do stand up because it was just, I'm glad I did it. It was a wonderful experience. But the idea of getting back up on stage with a mic and talking to a room full of people, in my head, I always thought I'd be wonderful at it. I write little skits in my head too. But I now know that, no, that's not a path for me.
Well, we all have got these experiences that we have in life that dictate and kind of foreshadow who we're going to be. And one of those happened to me because I was a traveling salesman at the time, and I was selling chicken. And remember, I'm the only chicken salesman you've ever met. And and my wife calls me. I was in my hotel room, and she says, by the way, I went to the school and they've got the Cub Scout pack, and they're looking for volunteers to be part of the parent group, and they only have 3 returning kids. And and she said, "Would you?" So I said, "Well, he was a Cub Scout, and I'm sure he would love to do something." And one of the other guys said, "Would he be willing to be the pack leader?" And my wife had no earthly idea what that meant or what it entailed or any of that.
Mm.
And so, of course, she said if he would love to. Um, so I became the pack leader of pack 177. And we started out with 3 kids. By the end of 2 years, we had 75 kids. And the pack meetings that I ran were in front of 200 or 300 people. Because, and I said, why are so many parents showing up?
Hmm.
And she said, because you're funny. They like watching you interact with the kids and doing all
Aw.
that kind of stuff. So it's so I learned at that point that maybe, I could do something like that, but I'm having too much fun doing this, talking to people like you.
But you're so right. I mean, I bet that your personality would have fit into so many different molds. And probably all of us have a variety of talents. I recently recommended my accountant to a friend, and my accountant is brilliant. She's been doing it for 30 something years. She loves math and numbers, but she's also an artist. She painted all the paintings in her office. She wrote a couple novels that are fantasy novels. I mean, she's just so right and left brained. And I really appreciate that when people are really well rounded and they're not just sticking into one groove in life, because we all have so many talents.
And by the way, did she paint by numbers?
No, they're incredible. I mean, I'm always surprised by people who pick up painting later in life. Like, I'm retired. I didn't know what else to do. My aunt, she's 70 years old, and one day picks up a paintbrush for the first time in her life, and now she's won awards. I mean, she's phenomenal. It's incredible when people have that talent later on.
Well, the fun thing about that is people don't recognize that talent, or they don't think they've got it
Mm.
until they do it. And sometimes it takes a long time for them to feel like they can do it because, you know, we get told a lot how not so good we are. And we get told, well, you know what, you couldn't do that. And and we take it to heart because for some reason we believe what other people tell us rather than what is in our own heart. And it takes a long time. And I know that with the work that you're doing and the company that you're creating and all of that, you're taking it from your heart and you're driving it from there. How did you do that?
Well, I've always been a really independent person and followed my own path. So I haven't really let a lot of other people's opinions of me and my life choices make any sort of impact, which can be a negative, assume. It's definitely not part of the pack. But for me, that's definitely always been a fire that has fueled me, is just follow my own intuition and my own gut.
And as well you should, as well you should. Well, talk amongst yourselves here for a second because I'm going to demand that Rochelle show up.
Oh,
So,
well, when you asked me what I wanted to talk about today, I actually put in wanting to discuss the privilege of being a human. I think sometimes we can get bogged down in the stress of a human life that sometimes is really just self-imposed. But honestly, it's really such a gift. I mean, today, as I told you before we came on the show, I was feeling a little blue. And, the wonderful thing about being a human is when that happens, because life is suffering for us all, I can just leave my house, do a random act of kindness for a stranger, and it immediately changes my mood and my attitude. And sure, I go home and my troubles are still there. Whatever was impacting me and making me blue earlier doesn't magically evaporate just because I can do this act of kindness and have a human connection with a stranger. But I think the difference is that having that interaction changed my energy and changed my mindset. And then it goes back into that power of thought. By changing my energy and being more positive, that influences whatever the human conditions are that was impacting me negatively in the first place. Sometimes, that's when the miracles happen, the good news happens, or you find that extra 20 bucks in your purse you didn't know you have, whatever it may be. But I really think that that's such a gift and it's such a blessing. Also, that we can contemplate these things and think about them and make an impact and contribute to the world at large. Being a human being is one of the greatest blessings. And I really think that if we focus more on that in our daily life and we have gratitude for this life and the options and opportunities that we have to help others, then I feel like we would be a lot less stressed and a lot less sad.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why you're welcome back on this show anytime you want to, because
Oh.
I'm a firm believer that if you, as an example, you're feeling down, you're feeling a little bit depressed, and you say something nice to somebody, or you're doing something in service to somebody, that it makes you feel better because you're being kind to another human being. And that's what you're talking about. And that's
100%. I mean, the secret to happiness is just spreading happiness to others, helping other people. If you want to be internally happy and if you want to be filled with inner peace and love and light, the only way to accomplish that is by lifting up others and helping others feel inner peace. And doing these random acts of kindness is what will feed the soul and ultimately lead to your own happiness. It's kind of the only path there, I think.
it is. And some of us have developed such a passion that we can even help other people sleep better. So
Ooh, I love the segue.
we need to take a real quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk to Alizah about what she does to help you sleep a little bit better.
You're listening to Brushwood Media Network, the best in syndicated talk, news, and entertainment shows.
Oh, I should have. I screwed up. Anyway, we're just going to let that go because I was ending up Gowdy, who is connected to Rochelle. And he said,
Oh, is he? Hi, Gowdy.
he's daddy. I believe
Oh,
that all
you have
religious.
raised a fantastic daughter, as I'm sure you're aware, but she has another fan over here in Rhode Island.
Exactly. I believe that all religious beliefs aside, that we are all here to help each other. Thank you, Gowdy, for listening to us. And he's become a great big fan of the show, and I really appreciate it. By the way, I called Rochelle, and she didn't answer that silly thing. I don't know what she's doing, but she's doing so. She may be she's doing something.
Well, we're connected on our other platforms, so I'll check in with her and hear her latest on her medium journeys, because I'm so excited to hear what's happening with her and in her path in life.
Indeed. And Gowdy says thank you.
And Gowdy, you bring up a really great point. I actually think that it's so interesting that a lot of religions, if not all, have the same foundations in terms of what love and happiness are. We can call heaven or paradise all these different things. And I personally believe in reincarnation, but I still believe in an afterlife, which I think is fascinating that so many do. I think that there's a lot of these foundations that are similar because there are truths that exist in the world that sometimes they do stray over time. I think that's probably the issue with religion, is that they can start out really great and pure, but you give it a couple of thousand years and it can transcend into something a little bit different. The believers change. But ultimately, I think that if you read the root of whatever the doctrine is, whatever Bible or book you're reading, has a lot of really good core values that are all really similar to each other.
It does, and including starting with the fact of treat others as you would have them treat you. That
Mm.
is in virtually every religious program that's out there. Is be kind to one another, take care of one another, and that's so important for us to do, and it'll make you feel better. And that's why it makes you feel better, is because that's why we are here.
Oh, I do believe that. I think that, and I said this on our last podcast too, that I think free will is part of the soul. I don't think that that's actually the human experience. I think that that's just innate in our being. And so I think that energy, that's the soul or the spirit, those little particles that go along the vibrations. I think that free will is part of that aspect. And I think when we return to life, um, we either have the desire to help others or to help ourselves. And I think that's how we differentiate people in this physical realm.
Oh, I agree.
But I think you and I are definitely both one of those who are here to spread love and happiness and lift up, all of the other life forms that we come in contact with.
And to be of service.
Yes.
And by the way, you mentioned reincarnation, and I would like to just explain because my mother, who's passed now, and I love her dearly, but she was a fundamentalist Christian, and she said, "Well, reincarnation, does that mean if you die and then you'll come back as a cat, or it's all totally random and stuff?" That's not how it works. That's not our intention behind when we talk about that. What we're here to do is learn. We can't learn. As an example, I can't learn what it's like to be a beautiful lady from Rhode Island because I'm a short, fat white guy from Seattle. I can't possibly do that in one life. Oh, wow.
And that's Rochelle.
And it is Brishelle. We've been telling you to show up for the last half hour. Where you been? Hold on.
Now we've lost her again.
No, she's here. I just gotta. Come on.
As a side note, while you're doing that, I'll
Hear
just.
me?
Oh.
We can hear you now, Brishelle. How are you?
I am well. Hello, Alizah. I'm so happy that you made it back onto the show, and sorry I couldn't be there. I am juggling some bankruptcy stuff right now.
Oh no.
Well,
No, it's okay.
Do you have a moment to enjoy the conversation with us?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, because it was so fun. Because Elijah said, "Oh, is Brishelle coming on?" And I said, "Well, I think she's busy." Because you had said hi, Elijah, and so she thinks the world of you. By the way.
Oh,
Yes,
well, wonderful.
I do.
And yes, I caught the beginning of the show, and I'm very glad that you're back on. And thank you for your kind words, Alizah. I really hope that someday I will not be in such a financial crunch and still wanting to order that pillow.
And by the way, Brishelle, there's some guy named Gowdy who says, "Yes, agreed. We are absolutely spiritually connected." So
Yes. Hi, Dad. Love you.
we did mention that he was connected to you in some manner or form.
Good.
And,
I think he could learn a lot from this. He probably needs one of those pillows himself.
yes, indeed. And we haven't talked about the pillow yet, but I did allude to it, and we were going to talk about that. But I wanted to get you involved with the conversation that we were having a little bit, because it's a fun conversation. And so, Alizah, do you have a question that you would like to ask Brishelle before we unceremoniously kick her off the show?
Yeah, I actually we were currently talking about reincarnation, but I was, wondering how your medium journey is going. Last we had talked, it was still sort of new and a little overwhelming for you. Are you sleeping better? How are the nightmares? How are you adjusting? How is life going for you?
Oh, well, that is so kind of you to ask. Thank you. Things are honestly going a lot better. Being here with Kevin and being able to talk to amazing people like you every single day and learn things has helped me be able to protect my energy and my space, especially while I sleep. So yes, I'm so honored to say that my sleep is getting so much better. and my health just overall with going to the gym and trying to have a better routine. But I can say that I either have a problem sleeping not long enough or way too long. So that is the last thing I'm trying to get under control. But being able to sleep and be in peace makes me want to stay asleep for a long time. So that's challenging for sure.
Yeah, and honestly, you are under this financial stress right now, and you are dealing with a lot, in terms of the medium and everything else that's probably happening in your life that I'm not privy to. And, so if you're going through a little bit of like a minor depressed state, that can also be why you don't sleep a lot and then you sleep a lot. I feel like that's a really standard symptom too. And would be very understandable, just in case you are. Now, I'm not diagnosing you over this little phone call, but I feel like, that might just be connected, but you sound like you're on your way out of that by forcing yourself to get a better routine, especially exercising, getting the endorphins, getting outside in the fresh air. Girl, you're going to see your way through it. And I'm so glad to hear that it's already going better than the last time we talked. And the next time we talk, you're going to tell me, nope, I sleep a sound 8 hours every night. I'm killing it in life. My financial woes are over. I only see great, wonderful things, for you, because you are such a positive person. Really can't go any other way.
Yes, I agree. And thank you so much. I really strive to stay in that energy, and doing this with positive talk and everything around it is very beneficial for my well-being. And I really do. It's almost to the point where I feel like my wings are here now, but I haven't really jumped to use them yet because I'm not ready. And I believe everything happens for a reason. I know that I'm going through this, and it is extremely hard, and sometimes life is making me psycho, but also what I'm learning from it, how I'm handling it, what I'm turning it into. It's a part of my story and my legacy. And we get to choose. I know, I can't believe I'm saying this of all people, but you get to choose how much of the negative and the positive you really want to look at in any situation. So definitely just focusing on the beautiful things that are going to come out of what I'm going through, and kind of shedding this last little skin of myself to be able to jump and to fly. So I'm actually very excited to see the next few months of my life and where I'll end up being, because I already feel how powerful it is, and it's coming fast.
I'm so glad. I'm so grateful. I'm glad to hear that. And you're completely right. I was thinking that too. I was telling Kevin how I did this little event recently where I had to share my story, and going back through some trials and tribulations of my 20s. Sometimes it's hard in the moment, but yes, it's definitely building character, and it will someday come around and be of use. You go through this experience, maybe so you can help others down the line. You go through this experience so you learn skills you didn't have before. Whatever it would be, I think all our trials and tribulations ultimately make us stronger, of course, but we always grow and learn from them, and ultimately they add into who we are and the life that we've lived.
Yep, I agree. Learning is everything, and it never really stops. Even if it's a lot of learning really fast. But I love that you were sharing your story too. I think that's so powerful. I've thought about kind of doing the same, because I am still a baby. I know Kevin says, but going into 26 this next week, and I think to myself, the experiences I've had in my life, you'd think I'm at least 40 years old. And how can I share my story to help other people with going through all those childhood traumas and trying to kind of change the atmosphere you live in now, and how you handle situations and think in your head to yourself, and all the things. It's powerful for me to be doing, and I'm glad that I have other little kiddos in my life who are getting to learn from either my mistakes or what I learned. But it's definitely challenging, but I love that you're sharing the story, because I think everybody needs to be heard, and everyone has a story that matters.
And if I could just add this one thing, Now,
Yes.
Rochelle, Rochelle's been working with me for almost a year now, and she's been on a bunch of shows that I've invited her on because I thought that she could get something out of them. It's a good lesson, something that she could take with her. Now, she does that, and I let her on the show, but I want to let everybody know who's listening to this. This information is available to anybody for free. All you have to do is listen to the people that I get to have on my show, like Alizah's one, Brachel's another. They are phenomenal human beings. And if you want to do something better for yourself, listen to this show. Tell your friends to listen to this show and it ain't about me, kids. It's about all the wonderful human beings that I get to come in contact with that come on these
You're
shows.
not giving yourself enough credit there. I've been on some podcasts, and if the host is not a good host, it's not a good show. A lot of it is actually not the guest. As being someone who's only been a guest, and I've never hosted a show, I find from my perspective that I don't actually have as much pull if it turns out to be a good show to listen to or not. It's really the host has all that control. What questions do they ask? How do they engage? How do they let the person ramble on and on like I did at the beginning? You know, it's and are they funny? And are they energetic? And they have their personality? I mean, you are just a wonderful host. And yes, you do pick great people to have on the show. And I'm honored to be one of them. Thank you.
But I'm blushing now. But if I mean, I get the fact that I try and be energetic and funny at times and that kind of stuff and to try and lighten the mood. But the reality is without you and the information that you're bringing, or Brachelle, or any number of guests that I've had on, then nothing happens. I refuse to do a show where I'm going to sit here and be the guy, and and sit here for an hour and spew crap, because I would rather
It's
it
not
be
crap, it's positivity.
okay, positive crap.
Depending on the crap.
Yeah, it can be good crap and it can be not so good crap, but no, but the whole idea is, and I hope people will get this message as it's intended. We weren't going to talk about any of this at all, by the way, but as it's intended, this show is designed for you. It's designed for you to get a great message and to hear it, to take it to heart, and then to act on it. Go to the bookstore and buy that book that speaks to you. Go listen to a song. Liza, I have to tell you, just real quick. I was talking to Brachelle, and I said, because we were talking about music, and I said, do you have any idea who Leanne Womack is? And I didn't know that she knew. And her eyes flew wide open, and she said, "Tell me you're kidding." And I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Tell me you're kidding. You're not talking about." And Brachelle, the name of the song?
Oh, yes. It is called Dance.
I Hope You Dance.
I Hope You Dance.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So good.
I know
That
the
song.
song.
So powerful for me. And I heard Kevin's brain through his eyes, and it made me absolutely ecstatic.
and so all of that stuff.
Yeah, and we talked about dancing earlier, and truly, I mean, I don't really get to go out very much anymore. I did on Saturday night. I got to go out to some live music and break it down. But normally, I felt like at 37, I'm too old to go to certain venues now where I used to dance. And that's why I started dancing in my home, is just because I never felt the release as much as when I was moving my body to music. And it's so nice to get out of my head and really just to feel the music through our souls and then thus through our bodies is one of the most freeing experiences. And so if someone is self-conscious or whatever it may be, if you have the ability to hear music, dance in your chair. It doesn't matter, but it's just wonderfully uplifting.
And by the way, you know what I get to do now? I get to do a worldwide announcement.
Ooh.
Are you ready, Brachelle?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Bated
That
breath.
Brachelle is starting to do her passion of teaching a dance class.
Wow. Okay, what style of
I'm starting
dance?
it this Wednesday and this Thursday, and it's going to be at a crystal shop, one of my favorite places in this valley. It's so beautiful. They have a cat walking around. Nobody's wearing shoes. It's very, very comfortable and safe place to be. I want people to have something to take home with them that is powerful from that experience, because you know what it's like when you go maybe to a friend's house or somewhere and you're like, oh my gosh, I love this place. I feel so good being here. And then you leave. And what do you have to really like take with you, or um, have the experience of the power that it can translate, not just when you leave that place, but to stay with you. And I'm not charging for my dance class. I'm just going to ask for donations, because I truly believe that anybody who wants to come and learn about dancing and moving freely in their body and feeling comfortable and confident in doing so, I'm just excited to start the class, and it's actually going to be called Breath of Life Dance.
Oh,
So I'm super excited.
congratulations. That's amazing.
And I do have to say this, a year ago, I don't think she ever would have done this, but she's
Mm.
doing it now.
Yep, I wasn't the same person even a few months ago, and Kevin gets to really speak on that one because he's watched me through so many phases, and now he gets to be with me while I spread my wings and start flying, because he supports the ground underneath me. So I'm very blessed.
I'm just a little old grandpa who says, let it be and have a good time and do what you
Yep.
believe and follow your heart. And by the way, speaking of following your heart, we've got 7 minutes left and we have to talk about Spherehead pillow.
Why does it always come down to the wire with us? And what's so
Well,
funny is I never want to talk about it. I'm just like, I love our conversations. Okay, let's do the quick little pitch here. So, it's a
go for it.
pillow.
Go for it.
Okay, I invented a pillow. It's for back and side sleepers, for people who suffer from shoulder, neck, lower back, or hip pain. It's a completely revolutionary design. It's made out of memory foam. For those who are watching, I will show it on the screen. And for those who are listening, I will try to describe it, which isn't easy to do. But this is the back of it. This is the spherical side. When you flip the pillow over, it has an indent in the center, and that's what caresses and supports the head. So for those at home imagining it, picture a sphere and then have the center concaved on one side. That is where your head will rest. And then there is a neck indent that mirrors the curve of the cervical spine. And for those watching, I will show you that it is squishy. People always say that they feel when they just see it on a screen that it's going to be made of like styrofoam. And it's really not. Memory foam is it's durable. And the way that it works is if your head is resting in that center concave with that spherical side, that contoured shape and back, that's what lets it roll with the user during the night so they can transition from back to side sleeping seamlessly. But your spine will maintain its alignment, your neck muscles will stay supported regardless if you're on your back or side.
So there. And how can they get one of these pillows?
If you visit the website, which is sphereheadpillow.com, it's SPHEREHEAD pillow.com, or on the website or on Amazon as well. So if you go on Amazon and you search Spherehead pillow, which I know it's a funny name, but it's because it's in the shape of a sphere and we're spearheading the pillow industry. But it's available on Amazon as well.
And she just made this up out of her own needs for a better sleep.
That is very true. I was diagnosed with thoracic outlet syndrome in my left shoulder due to holding my stress in my neck muscles. they went into spasm. And as a result, I couldn't sleep for about 8 years. I just suffered with migraines, and it impacted my entire life. My overall well-being was very negatively impacted due to a lack of sleep and miserable migraines. So it really was out of desperation that I invented a pillow for myself that realized it would help other people too. I had to do it because there was a hole in the market. There's nothing similar out there. And it just felt selfish to not manufacture it and have it help others. And it's been on market for 8 months now. And now I know for a fact that it has helped hundreds of people because I get to hear the feedback. So I feel like regardless of where the business goes, I've already made an impact and helped others. And so I feel very satisfied with the journey thus far. But yes, I'd love it to continue. And so if anyone out there suffers from neck, shoulder, lower back, or hip pain, please contact me. My email address is right on the website as well. So sphereheadpillow.com, you'll find my contact info, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
You know, I got to tell you, a couple of days ago, or last week it was now, I got to interview a gentleman by the name of James Dixon. He was on the line of a car dealer or a car manufacturer 2 years ago. He now is a world-renowned. He was at the inauguration. He's a world-renowned public speaker. And he's done really, really well. And he said something that I'm going to repeat to you today, because one of the guys that I was with, it was on the show with me, said, well, you know, if I help one person, that is enough. And James said, no, if you can help one person, you can help 1 million. So put that into your head that you're going to help 1 million people. And,
I hope so. That is really what drives me. And it's also drives me. I want to open my own manufacturing plant and help people that way. And I would like to be able to earn enough money so I can donate money to the charities that also mean something to me. So I want to contribute that way as well. I believe money should stay in rotation personally. I don't want to hoard it. I'm a minimalist. So it's very important for me to attain those 3 goals.
well, I appreciate that. And Rochelle, I know you do too.
Yes, highly, and more than you can imagine, especially at this age. Money is power, yes, but holding on to anything really is not always healthy. So sometimes just let go, and as Kevin says, let it be.
They were the most fabulous musical group in the history of our planet, and I've gotten more sayings coming from them. Matter of fact, one was the other one, I am you and me and we are all together, which was a lyric from a Beatles song that a guest said to me, and talking about her work. You are me and I am you and we are all together. And I said, that came from the Beatles. They were smarter than I thought.
Well, I think when you do a certain amount of LSD, you are connected to a higher plane. That's where that intuition comes from, you know? So you can say they're more intelligent than us. Let's just all go to the Himalayas and do some shrooms. And I guarantee we will come back more enlightened.
I'll probably throw up. That's how that'll work.
You're not jumping on the plane with me.
I want to thank Alizah Josette for being with us. Rochelle, thank you for calling in. It's always, of course. I got to tell you, we have the best time when you're on the show. So thank you both for being here. And thank you, everybody who's listening to Positive Talk. And remember, just keep listening and tell your friends, because this is good stuff. Today was a good show, and I want to thank everybody for being part of it. So with that,
Kevin. Thank you, Rochelle.
And you have to come back.
Thank you.
You have to come back soon when we get our.
You can't get rid of me at this point. I'm hooked.
Perfect, and we'll have some shrooms together. So. Thanks for listening to this episode of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Our purpose is to provide everyone with a positive, entertaining, and educational experience. I would love your feedback and comments about the show, including possible topics and great guest suggestions. Please email me at kevin@kmmedia.pro. And remember, be kind to one another, because each other's all we've got. That's Kevin@kmmedia.pro.